The young stars of this Red Sox team absolutely dominated the New York Mets. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. After a really disappointing series against the Oakland Athletics, the Boston Red Sox bounced back in a really big way. Taking 2 out of 3 games from the New York Mets this weekend, the Red Sox have officially put themselves at 53-47 on the year, 6 games above 500. They've also maintained their position as 4th place in this division, and on top of that too, they've maintained their place as just 2 games out of a playoff spot. And like I said, the Red Sox youth, the younger players on this Red Sox team, were by far and away the biggest takeaway of this Red Sox-Mets series. They were producing on both sides of the ball, all over the field, and it was really honestly a ton of fun to watch. And it's not something that's new. The Red Sox youth, the young players on this team, have been exciting for a while, but it was really on display in this series. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down the latest Red Sox series. We're going to talk about the highlights. We're going to talk about things that went wrong, some concerns coming out of the Mets series, and we are going to talk about how the Red Sox beating the Mets affects the entirety of the 2023 season. But before we get into that, just a heads up, if you are a member of this channel or you are planning on becoming a member of this channel, we have our members only live stream tonight. We are having a trivia challenge where the top 3 winners are going to get a couple of baseball cards, some Red Seat Radio merch. In fact, if you aren't a member of this channel, I highly suggest becoming one. There are a ton of great perks to unlock. There's series analysis that you can get. There's private live streams that happen once a month. There's a members only community tab. There's a whole bunch of stuff that if you really enjoy this content, it is worth taking a look at. And so if you want to become a member, click the link in the description below to get started. And I will see all of you members tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel for the members only live stream. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. As always, let's start this off by talking about the Red Sox offense. And the real star of the show in this series had to be Triston Casas, because in this series, Triston Casas went 6 for 10 with 2 walks. He had a triple. He had a 2 home run game, both in the same game, off of none other than Max Scherzer. And Triston Casas has flat out exploded in the month of July. Not including last night's game, Triston Casas currently has a 117 OPS plus on the year, so about 17% above league average production on the year. But in July, he has an OPS plus of 231. That's 130% more productive than the average hitter in Major League Baseball. In fact, he has one of the highest OPSs in July in the entire league. Triston Casas has officially caught fire, and he's slowly becoming the person that we have all hoped he would be at the Major League level directly before our eyes. And it was on absolutely full display in this series. I mean, he hit 2 home runs off of a dude who has 3,000 career strikeouts. Max Scherzer is a lock to be a Hall of Famer, and Triston Casas took him deep twice. Now, outside of that, obviously, if we're talking about the youth of the Red Sox, it wouldn't be a video if we don't talk about Jarren Duran, because he also had a really exciting series as well. He went 4 for 12 in this one with a home run, surprisingly doubles-less, but a hit in every single game as well as a steal in every single game. And like we talked about with Casas, Duran is having an incredible July as well. He has a 241 OPS plus in July, 10% more productive than Casas and 141% more productive than the average player in baseball. What I really love about what Jarren Duran has been doing in the month of July is that he struggled really hard in May and June a little bit, right? He got a little bit better in June, but in May he really struggled. He did that last year, and last year he spiraled. This year, instead of spiraling, he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and figured out how to make those adjustments to get back to being this sort of absolute spark plug at the top of our lineup. Because I think we're at the point now where Jarren Duran has not only earned himself a starting position with the Boston Red Sox, but earned himself a spot as the leadoff man of this Red Sox team. And it honestly is a ton of fun to watch. Now, outside of those 2 guys, Connor Wong had a really nice series as well. He sort of quietly putting together a couple good series in a row, but he played in 2 games here. He went 4 for 8 in those games, and he's just flat out been really solid at the plate. We talked about it last time, but Connor Wong doing well, these guys at the 8-9 spot in this lineup doing well is extremely vital for the Red Sox and their entire approach as a lineup, right? They sort of rely on these 1 through 5 guys to get you across the plate, but they rely a lot on the 7, 8, 9, 6 type hitters to get on base, to start this movement, to start being productive. And once those guys are productive, this Red Sox team, in my opinion, is at its best. But you had Rafael Devers, who had a really nice series in this one. He's honestly had a really nice month as well. I don't know if you count him in the youth movement. He's still young, but he feels like a guy who is a seasoned veteran at this point. So I don't know which category you put him in, but either way, if he finished going 5 for 10 with a home run and a hit in every single game, it's great to see him getting back to being an absolute monster at the plate. Plus, I hope you guys got the chance to listen to his in-game interview on Sunday. It doesn't matter whether or not we speak the same language. I feel like you just totally understand what Rafael Devers is saying and doing. And one thing that really came across in that in-game interview was just his pure love and admiration for just being able to be out on that field every single night, right? You could tell he genuinely loves what he does and loves who he is, and I absolutely love that for Rafael Devers. Justin Turner lost his 15-game hitting streak in this series, but that didn't prevent him from being productive. He had a home run. He hit 3 RBIs in the 3 games that he played in. He also scored 2 runs in the 3rd game, so it does not matter how Justin Turner's going to find a way, whether that's with hits, whether that's with sacrifice flies, whether that's with sacrifice groundouts. He is going to find a way to be smack dab in the middle of what the Red Sox are doing offensively, and that's exactly what he did in this series, and honestly, that's exactly what he's been doing for the last couple of months. Yu Chang had a massive homer in this one as well. I feel like the only time Yu Chang gets a hit, it's an absolutely mammoth tank, and in this series that was very true, although he did have an RBI single in the finale. Adam Duvall had a nice game at the end of this one. He ended going 2 for 4 in the last game with 2 RBIs. His average may have slipped a lot since he came back, but the RBI production is picking up again. He's producing a lot of RBIs in the last couple of days, and he's getting his timing back on his swing, which not only would be huge for the Red Sox over the next couple of series, but it would also be huge in terms of possible trade deadline deals as well. As much as I think Adam Duvall would actually be a really big help to the Red Sox towards the end of 2023, if the Red Sox are planning on adding by subtracting, Adam Duvall may be a figurehead for that move. Overall, there was a ton of offense in this series. Once again, it was led by rookies or close to rookies, young players on the Boston Red Sox. These are the type of series that get you really excited about this Red Sox team, because when you talk about guys like Duran, Casas, Devers, right, really being a spark plug for this offense or spark plug for the Red Sox in general, you're not just talking about 2023. You're talking about the next 5-10 years of Red Sox baseball, including guys like these players who are going to be spark plugs for the Red Sox for a long time. So this was an absolutely fantastic series, not only just for 2023 offensively, but for the future of the Red Sox offense as well. Now, one thing I did love about this series offensively was what, like we talked about with Connor Wong, the Red Sox as a whole were doing really well. At one point in the 3rd game of this series, there were 7 hits in a row, right? They were playing not only station to station baseball, but everyone was contributing. That's really where the Red Sox are at their best offensively, right? Maybe they're not hitting a ton of home runs, maybe they're not even hitting a ton of extra base hits, but when the Red Sox are at their best, they are producing really long, difficult at-bats that lead to really solid contact, that leads to just continuous, absolute beatdowns of starting pitchers, and that's what we saw in this series, right? Carlos Carrasco only made it 2 1/3 innings before he was taken out of the game. So yeah, I think the Red Sox offense was really on point in this series. As for the pitching in this series, it had its fair share of young player highlights as well. Cutter Crawford got the ball in game 1, and he honestly, I feel bad for him. He had a little bit of a weird series here where you only get to through 4 or 5 innings, and then all of a sudden, right, the rain starts coming down, and it's just, it was a weird start for Cutter. But either way, regardless of the rain, he didn't really perform all that well. He ended up giving up a couple of home runs, and his final stat line looked something like 4 innings, 4 earned runs on 4 4 hits with 2 home runs allowed, and he only struck out 2 players. It's kind of becoming a thing with Cutter Crawford to pay attention to, at least going forward, that when he's starting games, he's given up a lot of long balls, right? As long as they are solo shots or maybe even 1-2 run shot here or there, it's not going to absolutely cost the Red Sox games, but it definitely has the potential to cost the Red Sox games. So keep an eye out on Cutter and him being able to keep the ball in the yard, because it's going to be vital for his success going forward. In the second game, while Youth took over this series, that doesn't mean James Paxton can't do what James Paxton does, because he was electric in this start. He went 6 innings, allowing just 3 hits and earned runs while striking out 7 and walking 1. His starts this year may honestly be some of the most impactful individual performances for the Red Sox this entire season. He's been a rock since he came back, and I understand why people want to trade James Paxton. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I truly think this team will get so much worse if the Red Sox trade James Paxton, because he just has that consistency factor. He has that ability to keep the Red Sox in games, and he truly has been the rock of this Red Sox rotation. Finally, in the finale, you got again another bullpen game. Brandon Bernardino started this one off, and I gotta say, he could make a career out of being a opener for any team in Major League Baseball. He's a fantastic opener, and honestly, I feel kind of comfortable with him on the mound for the first couple of innings. But outside of Bernardino, Chris Murphy was sort of your bulk guy in this one, although he wasn't as big of a normal bulk guy as you would usually see. He ended up going 3 2/3 innings, allowing 1 earned on 3 hits and striking out 3. It has been great to see Chris Murphy fill this role, right? We talked about it last series, but Chris Murphy has truly become a legitimate asset for the Red Sox, and he has been absolutely vital for the Red Sox success, not only over the last month, but in the midst of some really terrible rotational injuries. Chris Murphy has done a fantastic job of being that dude, and once everyone gets back and is healthy, I would be kind of shocked to see Chris Murphy go down. I think this is a guy who could end up staying and being a legitimate talent for the Red Sox for the rest of the year. As for the bullpen in this one, a couple of really great performances from Josh Winkowski, another young player on the Red Sox. There were a couple of great performances from Joely, who did really well in this series. You got obviously Chris Martin, absolutely lights out. Kenley Jansen looked really good, right? Honestly, the only one who kind of struggled a little bit in this series was Justin Garza, but I'm not even considering Justin Garza a legitimate piece for the Red Sox. He's going to be sent down probably tomorrow, if not Wednesday, right? Justin Garza is not going to be with this team for a long time, so all the people who are going to be with the Red Sox for a little bit did really well bullpen-wise in this series. In terms of pitching overall in this series, it had its moments, but I think in general, this was a really great series for the Red Sox pitching staff, right? The Mets have been struggling this year for sure, but they're still a really dangerous lineup if you let them be a dangerous lineup, and the Red Sox didn't really let them be a super dangerous lineup. In terms of the series as a whole and why this series was important, to me, it's because it showed fight, right? The Red Sox over the last couple of months during this 2023 season have started spiraling after going through series like they did with the Oakland Athletics. We talked about it in the last video. They needed to come into this Mets series. They needed to show fight. They needed to show resilience. They needed to show an ability to bounce back from something that did not go well and continue to push forward. And that's exactly what they did in this series. And again, it's obviously fantastic that it's led by the youth of the Boston Red Sox, but in totality, what this means is it shows fight for not only the front office, but the standings, everything else. This Red Sox team is here, and it is fighting for a spot, for a chance to not only be buyers at the deadline, but be competitive for the entire season. I think there were some concerns in general with the Red Sox over the last couple of games. I think their base running took a big hit this last series, especially in the third game. You got 4-5 outs on the base pass, when normally this season they've actually been pretty good at being able to get around the bases. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. Obviously, defense has still been a factor. That Jorge Alfaro throw in the second game was brutal, right? That was terrible. Jorge Alfaro is not a defensive major league catcher. I tried to tell you guys, no one wanted to listen to me. He has been absolutely god-awful behind the dish, but in totality, you were able to get the job done, and really, despite the Red Sox defense, despite the bad running on the base pass, you get a W in the win column, and to me, me, that's all that matters. Again, overall in this series, the Red Sox young player, the young core of this Red Sox team has been really a highlight of the entire season, but it was on full display against the New York Mets. But that's just my opinion, so let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of this latest Red Sox series? What did you think of the good? What did you think of the bad? What did you think of how this affects the 2023 season? And let me know what you think about the young players on this Red Sox team kind of taking this series over. Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox series in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this one, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Members, don't forget, we are going to be live at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight, and if you want to be there and you are not a member yet, hit the link in the description below to get started. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.